So, according to Doctor Who Online, rumours are abound that Murray Gold, composer for Doctor Who Series 1 to Series 10, is returning to Doctor Who. Now obviously we have no official confirmation of this, however I wanted to ask you how you all would feel if Murray Gold returned to Doctor Who. But before we get into it, if you could do me a teeny little favour and click that subscribe button, I'd be ever so grateful. We are trying to get to 12,000 subscribers as soon as possible. We're just like 20 something subscribers away from 11,100, so if we could get there as soon as possible, that'd be greatly appreciated. But I suppose first I should tell you what my thoughts on Murray Gold returning would be. Mainly, I'd quite like it, because I love Murray Gold's music, and while admittedly he did start recycling himself towards the end, Russell T Davies and Murray Gold just work so well together, and it'd kind of be weird to me having an RTD version of Doctor Who without Murray Gold there. With that having been said, however, I do understand some of the reasons people don't want it. But with that having been said, let's get into some of your thoughts on Murray Gold returning. So I put out the question on my Twitter, which if you don't follow, you should. With the recent rumours, how would you feel about Murray Gold returning to Doctor Who as composer? I don't think he should come back, to be honest. I would say keep Sagan or bring in someone new. Yeah, this is something I've seen a few times, people saying they should keep Sagan Akinola. I personally have never quite vibed with his more sort of understated style. I understand that people have, but for me personally, it's never quite had the impact on me that Murray's scores had. I would say Sagan's best work comes from things like his Master score, as well as, I guess, his Cyberman one as well. But his general music is kind of meh to me. It's not bad, it's not great, it just doesn't really provoke many strong feelings from me, but I do understand why people have clicked with it. I'm very mixed on this. Gold's work on Doctor Who is brilliant, but bringing back a former showrunner and a composer would feel really weird for a show that revolves around change. Yeah, I understand this as well. It is kind of weird going back to older people after, when the show itself has the baked-in ability to change completely with each iteration. However, to me, I think as long as Murray does something new with it and doesn't just recycle the same music, then I think I'd be okay with it. Fair enough, if the first episode comes out and all the strange creatures starts playing, fair enough, but until that point, I'm open to the idea. I mean, to me, his songs define New Who. His return would definitely be a welcomed one. Ood Sigma, the universe will sing you to your sleep. Murray Gold. Yes, very true. His music is absolute fire, and in that scene as well. Vale Dechem is beautiful in my opinion. Is that how you say it? Dechem? I don't know. Oh my god, yes, I miss his big orchestral scoring and his character themes that he weaves in the stories and brings back from time to time. I've missed his work so much. I don't want to disrespect the current guy, but his music sort of blends all together for me, TBH. Yeah, I'm very much in the same camp of no disrespect to Sagan, but his music never really quite stood out to me. I'm in the same camp as this person, like Murray's bombastic tracks did. I personally don't really have a strong stance on this, honestly. I would adore it if he did the music for the 60th, because of how iconic his music has been for the show, but anything beyond that I'm pretty cool either way. Yeah, I've seen a few people suggest him maybe coming back just for the 60th and not future series. I think that would work quite well. It's kind of a big celebration of Doctor Who, getting arguably Doctor Who's most iconic composer back, alongside the person they worked with for one last rodeo, like that bit in the Muppets where they're we're getting everyone back together. Kind of like that would make sense for the 60th especially, but I do understand why people want something new after that, although this person said they wouldn't mind either way. RTD's writing and Murray Gold's music fit together like puzzle pieces. I'd be delighted if he returns, but also perfectly happy with someone else. I trust RTD's judgment. I am very much in agreement. That man is a genius. I really wouldn't like it, and that doesn't mean he'd be doing the same things he was doing before, but he was the composer for 12 years. I just don't think it would be right. If you're going to change the composer again, have someone new. Yeah, admittedly, one of the biggest reasons why I can understand people being a bit so-so on this was because he was there for so long. It's not like with Russell where he was showrunner for 4 years? In the case of Murray, he was there for 12. So Murray feels somewhat fresher than Russell did. It would be like if they announced Stephen Moffat is coming back to showrun Doctor Who after Chris Chibnall. Don't get me wrong, I'd be relatively happy with that, but I do understand why that would be disappointing in the sense of we've just left this era and now it's coming back. So I can definitely see that perspective. On the one hand, he's had great scores previously. On the other, he'd worked on the show for 12 years and is yet to release the Series 10 soundtrack. I love both Sagan and Murray's work and wouldn't be opposed to Sagan continuing on if he wished, or bring in some new talent. Fair enough. I genuinely don't mind. Murray Gold is one of my favourite composers, creating some of my favourite tracks, so I'd love him back. I think it'd make sense as he's worked on all RTD shows. The Years and Years soundtrack in particular is fantastic. Yes, this is something I wanted to mention. The Years and Years soundtrack's phenomenal and doesn't really sound like his Doctor Who work. It still sounds like Murray, but it does feel distinctly not RTD1 era music, if that makes sense. So I definitely think he's capable of having range. As long as it's completely new material, I'd be happy. I prefer someone new, but if Russell thinks Gold can deliver, then I'd be happy with the choice. Yeah, I agree. I don't want him to come back and then to just go, hey, do you want to just play Shepherd's Boy for a bit? Like, no. It's got to be new songs, like new material, new stuff. But yeah, I agree. I definitely trust like RTD's judgment, so if he does want to bring back Gold, then I would assume that Gold had a new way of approaching it. And then Jenny says, RTD's stories aren't the same without him. I agree. But I think that's all the opinions we have time for, but of course this isn't over, as I want you to leave your thoughts on Murray Gold possibly coming back to compose the music for the next Russell T Davies era. Comment down below your thoughts, like this video if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you later. Shout out to Debs Iona, Shane Smith, Ree Keffin, Seb Lowndes, Jay Monroe, Hash Shandycoot, Patrick Mewson, Simon Ashley, Steve Safaro, Andrew Townsend. If you want to become a member, feel free to do so. It really helps out. You get exclusive posts, shout outs in every video, and even your own badge and custom emojis to use.